Hello! Before I start the video, I just want to draw your attention to the links in the description box for like mutual aid and Black Lives Matter protests, bail funds supporting and resources and stuff like that. Please do check this out. I thought it would be a fun video to make, so it's like a TBR but kind of like a hybrid TBR for Victober, which is Victorian October, which is happening next month in October, as the name would suggest. And I haven't quite decided what I'm going to read, and I probably still won't have like 100% sure choices, except from a few maybe from this video. But I watched a video by Leanne Rose, I think is her name. Oh, now I've forgotten. But I will leave her video linked below, where she kind of does this too. She shows you like her whole Victorian TBR and then like decides what she probably will and potentially will read for Victober, and I really like that idea. This isn't actually like my full Victorian TBR because I don't have all of my books here, but I have obviously some of them, and I just thought it might be fun to like go through and show you because I really like Victorian literature and I like talking about books. So sorry for my hair being a mess. Like, I could redo it, but then it just takes me quite a long time to do. So as far as I know / remember, these are all Victorian novels currently on my shelf that I haven't read / that I would like to read or reread, as is the case with a few of them. So I'll just go through and show you all of them and then talk about the choices. So I've already talked about Jill by Amy Dillwyn. I still haven't picked it up, but I do want to, and so I think I probably will read it in October if I don't read it before then. So there's that one as like a definite. Then I've got two Bronte novels, both by Anne Bronte. So this is The Tenement of Wildfell Hall, which is something I've wanted to read for ages. And this is Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte, which I have read and which I would like to reread. And I think I probably would like to reread this more than I want to get to The Tenement of Wildfell Hall, but if I could read two Brontes in October, that would be really cool. So that's like The Tenement of Wildfell Hall is a maybe. Then I got Aurora Leigh by Elizabeth Barrett Browning, which is a poem, and it's also something I've wanted to get to for a while, but it's not like high enough priority for me to put it in the definite, I think. So I'm going to put it with Tenement of Wildfell Hall right now. Then there's The Story of an African Farm by Olive Schreiner, who was a South African author, but I would say she counts for Victorian because she was published in England and also was like very important to kind of like 1880s onwards Victorian kind of political proto-feminist movements and ideas about women, and also kind of like somewhat lefty women stuff as well. But I don't think I am going to read this because it's probably going to be like extremely bad and colonial and also intense, and I don't think I'm ready for that. But it is something that I would like to read because it is like, it was published in like 1888 and something, and it definitely has an effect on like the specific era of Victorians that I really am focused on a lot, which is like the 1880s, 1890s up until 1901. So then we have another Bronte, which is Jane Eyre, and this would be a reread. I'm on the wait list for an audiobook for it from the library, so depending on whether that comes through, I potentially will read that. Then I have just this like short story collection. Is there more than one here? Yeah, there's two short stories in here by Elizabeth Gaskell, and I think one of the challenges of the readathon is to read a short story from an author that you like, and I like Elizabeth Gaskell. So I will probably read this because it's like small and easy. Then I got the second in the Barchester, fuck, what's the series called? Chronicles of Barsetshire, Barchester Towers is what it's called, by Anthony Trollope. I read The Warden last year. It's been quite a long time, and so I would like to keep reading the series. But again, I'm not sure if I will definitely get to it, so, but it's not like a definite no. You can see why I need to do this because I clearly am bad at making decisions. The other things on here are yet another Bronte, which is Shirley by Charlotte Bronte, and this is the group book, and this is something I think I'm going to try and get to. Also, I think it's about some of the stuff again that I wrote about for my dissertation and trade unions and women, but I've also heard that like it's quite conservative in the way it represents class struggle, I think, and also women's position in class struggle, but I'm interested to read it and to see. And then there's The Half Sisters by Geraldine Dewsbury, which is a book that I have seen Katie from Books and Things talk about and love, and this is a maybe, it's not a definite, I think. Then the last one I have is The Rebel of the Family by Eliza Lynn Linton, which is published in the 1880s, I believe. Yeah, 1880 is when it was published, and this I'm really intrigued to get to it because because it's supposed to represent one of the sort of like a Victorian lesbian community in some ways, and I also love the fucking title, like the rebel of the family, big mood. But we'll see. Also, Eliza Lynn Linton is a really interesting person because she's like a big anti-feminist, but she also was probably queer, I think. At least that's what I sort of gathered from reading about her. But yeah, I don't think I will get to this in October because it's just too big and unfamiliar. But I would like to read it as soon as possible. And the final thing I wanted to mention is there's a Stitch and Listen being hosted by a few people within victober to listen to an audiobook and like craft or like crochet or knit or whatever, and I haven't decided what I would do, but it's to listen to the audiobook 2 on a Tower by Thomas Hardy, and I looked at my library and they do have an audiobook for it, so I'm probably going to try and read that as well and do some knitting or crocheting, probably knitting because I'm trying to knit Harry Styles' cardigan, but I do need to order some more yarn for it. But yes, so that's probably. Then we've got these as like definitely gonna try, so that's Shirley, Jill, Agnes Grey and The Old Nurse's Story short stories. Then from this pile, should we see if I can get rid of any more? No, because I might. Then Jane Eyre is a potential as well if the audiobook comes in and I'm feeling in the mood. And then these 4 are gonna be, they're gonna stay as like maybes. I mean, maybe I'll want to swap 1 or 2 out if I'm just like, I can't read another Charlotte Bronte, or I just like something quick like poetry maybe. So yeah, but I'm glad that we got these 2 off my TBR for a month. That's useful. Good. Let me know if you're going to participate in Victober, and if you are, what you're reading, and if you've read any of these things and what you thought about them. Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to say. Please do check out the links in the description box, and I'll also leave links to the like hosts of Victober and more information about it. Yes, I will see you some other time. Bye!